Hey guys, it's Mountain Monday, and you know how we start Mountain Monday. We do our breathing, so we breathe in and out, and breathe in and out. I think I kind of sucked out on that breathing. It wasn't as zen as it normally is because I'm trying to do this fast before I go to my parents' place. It's Canadian Thanksgiving weekend this week, and especially important point to find our zen. I really uh, believe in holidays. Sounds strange, but I try to do what I can to make sure that these things that we've set up as a society to mark time don't just pass me by. I don't like missing things. Sometimes it happens because of work and things like that. But the older I get, the more I sort of appreciate those moments to sit down with people and sort of have an in-person conversation and take a pulse and see how everybody's doing and just watch, the passing of the years for lack of a better term. And I think we take those moments really for granted in our super hyper connected society. And don't get me wrong, I love our super hyper connected society. But you do need that very simple FaceTime with people, I believe, to sort of counteract the stuff that we do get on the internet. I mean, the latest thing is this imagine a feminist internet and this take back, is it take back the tech or take back tech? Maybe take back the tech. I don't know. But of course, it immediately this week, almost immediately, just became another war, a hashtag. And maybe I'm just old by internet standards, but I'm having a really hard time understanding the heat involved in the rhetoric. To me, a hashtag like imagine a feminist internet is a chance to actually do some thinking. That thing that we do with our brains when we're not being driven by knee jerk emotional responses. And to me, it's like, well, what would a feminist internet look like? And people immediately will go, well, it's this, or well, it's bad, or something like that. And the reality is, a feminist internet would be a place where, I mean, this is the thing about feminism. People think it's just advancement of women. It's not. And people are like, what? It's it's an it's a way of making the so-called feminine aspects of society be seen to hold greater value. Things like, emotional intelligence, as people call it now. Like the fact that we have to associate it with intelligence, and intelligence historically has been male sphere. And the fact that, we keep inflating these terminologies like cyber violence. Well, again, violence is considered a masculine sphere, even though I don't really believe that's true. But things like reason, logic, intelligence, violence, aggression, they're all considered masculine characteristics. Nurturing, being emotional, feelings first, caregiving, these are all considered feminine traits. And part of feminism is trying to find a place in society for things like raising children and caregiving. It's an ongoing thing, caregiving of the elderly, making these things more valued and respected in real terms by society. Because I don't know if you guys know, but people in caregiver jobs get paid like crap. Doesn't matter if they're male or female, they get paid like crap for what they do. They're very physical jobs. They're backbreaking because you're lifting full-grown adults in and out of bed, right? That's the sort of work that I was taught when I did admittedly terrible courses on women's studies. That's the sort of stuff we were taught. That was the good parts that I was able to take out of not very good courses. Now, the reality is, if we imagine a feminist internet, we won't have these tactics of aggression and fear that we're seeing used by people using the imagine a feminist internet tag, which I sit back and go, huh, that's ironic. Um, and that's, it always really saddens me because of course this thing happened, so of course my Twitter just got bombarded, and it was one of those things where people were saying things like the only good feminist is an ex-feminist and things like that, and they were tweeting me and Christina Hoff Sommers on that in response to a tweet I said using the Imagine a Feminist Internet hashtag, and I said, imagine a feminist internet where I could, express my views and not get called a fake feminist by other feminists. And that actually did happen recently. That started. Yep, I was expecting it. It was only a matter of time. I'm not a real feminist now, and that's just so silly. That's so silly. That just tells me that some people are just in this to try to control the discussion instead of trying to influence or shape the discussion. And control versus influence are very, very different things. Influence works, control doesn't long term. You can't control the spread and discussion of ideas long term. People that try only succeed temporarily. And that's been, if you're been the takeaway from studies of history, that ideas get out and good ideas eventually, and there may be back and forth, and there may be stumbles along the way, but they eventually do take hold. Things like freedom and democracy and freedom of speech, for instance. And it really, it's got me very concerned that people are playing the politics of fear in a tool that, to me, is one of the greatest inventions for ideas ever, which is the internet. And I mean, yeah, it's going through growing pains. It's a loud and very aggressive place. But being loud and being aggressive and being violent are far from the same thing. And I think this is something that, at least, when I was being taught, when I was learning, and the feminism of the 1980s and early 1990s, it was all about authenticity and it being okay for women to be aggressive. And now any form of aggression is seen as violence, and they're not the same thing. They're absolutely not the same thing. And so it's so weird that, I mean, there's a lot of theories as to why people are like, what's going on? Why are these women, the whole trigger warnings at universities and all that stuff, and shutting people down and silencing tactics and all this stuff. But it's just at the core of it all is just fear. It's wanting to, hide your head and stick your fingers in your ears and go, la, 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 can't hear you. Instead of looking at something you may find, not to your taste, and going, well, they have the right to that opinion. I have the right to disagree with that opinion, and I'm going to get on with my life. In a way, it's kind of good that we live in a society where the biggest thing on a lot of people's minds are fights on Twitter. But I get really concerned when I see things on feminist message boards talking about how a certain hashtag has co-opted this and it's cyber violence and all this stuff. It's not. It's noise. It's noise. Like, unless there are actual threats being made, which is stupid. I mean, threats made on the internet are just idiotic. There is going to be a point where investigation tools are going to get better and people are going to get caught. And if people act badly enough, they do get caught. But the reality is that people bombarding a hashtag with garbage is annoying, but it's not violence. It is not a threat to your personal safety. And it is super important that we know the difference. And to me, this is a sign that we do have work to do with feminism in the first world, because look how many women are afraid to go on the internet when nothing bad has happened to them. It's been a bunch of intimidation with no follow through, right? And I'm not talking about the extreme cases like Amanda Todd or Rehtaeh Parson. Those are serious, and those were horrible. And I won't even call them tragedies. They were injustices. They shouldn't have happened. They were widespread community failures. In the case of girls like that, or I always forget the guy who died. because of gay bullying. A different thing, a kid who died at my old high school, that name ends up in my head. But I mean, there are cases of men getting bullied into suicide as well. And all of those are just complete injustices, and they're things we have to work with. But I have real concerns about the amount of fear that people seem to be reveling in on the internet instead of setting reasonable expectations and treating it like the noise it is. And that doesn't help women get ahead. I personally think, based on my own experiences where I was denied the opportunity to write columns, I didn't even get the chance to fail because people wanted to protect me instead of allowing me to just speak my mind in a digital format. Like, they were so afraid of harassment. It was like, yeah, we'd like to try this, but not yet. And obviously that's very frustrating to me because other people are telling me what I can handle, what I expect a certain amount of garbage flung my way. I know on my escapist column, I sort of exhale when the first stupid comment drops because, like, okay, there it is. That's what somebody knee-jerked into completely the wrong way this week. We're through it. Onward. Now I can talk to the people who actually get it, right? And I deliberately don't respond to comments on that forum because I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about why, but I deliberately do not get down in the muck with that. I think Twitter's good enough for that because then the responses are kept short. If there's something I seriously feel that I need to respond to long form, that's what this YouTube channel is for. And I know some websites like you to respond to the comments. I prefer to just sort of keep the comments on that site on a nice, even keel. I mean, I haven't even gone in there. I tried to go in there and put a picture up for myself, and I couldn't get the file small enough that I liked, and I sort of gave up on it. And I know I should be doing it, but I'm ridiculously over busy right now, and little things like that fall through the cracks. And so it upsets me because I want to see other women. I want to see other everybody. But obviously this particular concern with this fear of the internet issue is impacting women in a unique way. I'd like to see other women just stand up and speak their mind, and because that's the way you get better. Try out ideas, you see what the reaction is, some people make some good points, you evolve your position, and you get more and more and more refined. And that's how you become an industry leader. You try and pick your favorite game designer. I can almost guarantee you they got a failure somewhere in their past. You may not know about it because it never even got to market, but the biggest failures aren't the games that get made. They're the games that don't get made. And trust me, I have plenty of creative endeavors that are sitting in a box or on a hard drive somewhere. It just didn't get made. And pitches and, all that stuff. But I want more women to have those opportunities. Notice I say opportunities. And I really think that with this, we are under siege, people don't take those opportunities because they're too scared. When you have a siege mentality, you hunker down and you hide away and you sort of turtle, right? We can't do that. We need to open up, and we have to have these conversations. We need to take risks, and we can't do that in a productive way if we're scared, because then we do get knee jerk and we do get, an unhealthy sensitivity to criticism because we're ready to fly apart all the time. So I'd like to see the feminism on the internet go away from the yelling and go more to talking and promote instances of women who are saying it's okay, it is loud, and people are rude as anything, and some of the stuff they say to you is hilariously terrible. But we need those examples of people like me who say that's on them, that has everything to do with them and nothing to do with me. And I think that's a feminist internet. That is where we need to go, and that's where we're going to get the best ideas from everyone, right? Is just keep calm and carry on. So we're going to keep calm, and we're going to breathe in and breathe out. I'm going to do it slower this time. I'm not going to wuss out because we need to zen for the week. Okay, ready? Here we go. Breathe in. And out. And breathe in. And out.